Hey y'all, I'm Karen Mayer Cunningham, the special education boss. If you've ever felt confused, overwhelmed, or just plain frustrated at the 504 IEP table, you are in the right place. Every week, I'm breaking down the rules, the rights, and the realities of special education so you can walk into meetings informed, empowered, and ready to make real change. And whether you're a parent, a teacher, an advocate, a school-based member, or somebody who's just trying to do right by a student, this podcast gives you straight talk, real answers, and tools that you can use immediately. I'm not here to play politics. I'm not here to play sides. I'm here to train people who sit at the table and teach you how to follow the law, ask the right questions, and protect the rights of students. So go ahead and hit subscribe, share this with a friend, and you know what? Meet me back here every single week. We're not just talking about change. We're making it. Because when you know better, you do better. And when we get it right for the child, we get it right for everybody. Welcome to today's episode of the Epic IEP, where we tell you stories that are fun, frustrating, and fantastic. Listen, it's going to be a little bit longer, but it's so worth it. So I was in an IEP meeting, and of course, I do IEPs all remote, and there's different time zones. So I'm in the great time zone of Florida. Although Florida has 2 time zones. I don't know who thought that up. Probably somebody that was not a college graduate. But anyway, we're in the IEP meeting, and we're just there to review progress. And the teacher seems really irritated. And I always assume that if somebody in a meeting is irritated, they're probably irritated with me, right? I don't always know why. And so I asked a really silly question. Could we see the students, progress on her IEP goals? She had just been in special ed for about 9 months. We just found her eligible. And she said, well, I didn't do that. I said, what do you mean you didn't do that? She goes, well, I just didn't want to stress her out. I said, stress her out with what? Taking data on goals. That's a lot of work, and I don't want to do that. I said, well, what do you mean you don't want to do that? That's how we measure if she's successful, and then that way we can plan her next annual IEP meeting. And then she literally just flipped out on me. Have you ever been in a meeting where people just flip out on you? I don't know if that happens at schools a lot. I've never worked at a school, but there's a lot of flipping out. And all of a sudden, she just looks at me and she goes, you wanted this. I said, what do you mean? She goes, we did our testing. She wasn't eligible. And then you went and got that IEE. And now she's eligible and she's in special ed. She's yelling. She goes, this is what you wanted. I said, no, I didn't want this little girl to have OCD. I didn't want this little girl to have ADHD. And I didn't want this little girl to have dyslexia. But she does. And so we have to serve her. And then she goes, and you, like, oh, she goes, do you get paid by the minute or the hour? I was like, wow, somebody is really unhappy to be here. And so finally, I said to the principal, I said, you probably want to get this handled. I mean, she just came off the rails. And so, special ed is special ed. And we have an obligation as special educators to deliver special education based upon the expectation of IDEA that we measure and progress monitor the IEP, the goals. And so they took a break. The principal's yelling her name. We should take a break. And so we come back and she's still she won't get off it. She just will not get off it. And I said, you know what? It doesn't look like you're going to be the best teacher to work with her going forward. So we'll need somebody else. And she just lost her mind. She was so mad about having to provide special ed to this little girl that she basically said in so many words, I wanted this. She doesn't need it. Why would I want a child to struggle? That would be really weird if you're a person that wants a child to struggle. It'd be really weird if you're a person that wants a child to have to go to special ed. It'd be really weird for a child not to ever pass the FAST state test in Florida. So remember that when you get into an IEP meeting, we can have all the agenda and the paperwork and the draft, but it doesn't come in a draft. What people are going to say. So when you're an advocate, however you sit at the table, principal, teacher, paraprofessional, special educator, just know that the only hard part about special ed are the peoples. People are peopling, and I'm one of them. And remember that we're all on the same side of the table, the side of the student. But you have to be prepared, which is why just like getting in a car is like getting into an IEP meeting. Better make sure that you buckle up. So remember, we get it right for the child, we get it right for everybody. We're always trying to write the Epic IEP. This is an amazing guide for parents, educators, and advocates navigating the special education process. We'll see you guys in the next training. Hit subscribe, share this with a friend, And you know what? Meet me back here every single week. We're not just talking about change, we're making it. Because when you know better, you do better. And when we get it right for the child, we get it right for everybody.